Good evening, everybody, again. Shall we start? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I uploaded this document. Can you see my document presentation?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes,
You
sir.
can, no? The other one is assignment, planning assignment, right? But it is critically examined. That is the word. You have to examine the procurement planning process. Procurement planning process, you have to examine exercising in your own organization or any other organization, because some people don't have the access to maybe a general question. So you can select any other organization in line with the provisions spelled out in the government procurement guideline and manual. So we have discussed the provisions in the first presentation and yesterday also. So what are the planning process of the government procurement guidelines built out? Various plans we mentioned, master plan, detailed plan, and various things are there. Not only planning and preparatory activities and advanced planning, like that general procurement notice, things like that. Part and partial, whatever it is, guidelines say something in line with the provision and manual, and identify lapses. That is your job. Whatever guidelines say, it is not practically happening, no. Right? That is the problem. So you better understand. First, you identify what are the provisions spelled out in the guideline. In addition to plans, I'll tell one thing. Planning. Another thing is you'll have to disclose the procurement budget. Procurement budget to be disclosed. Whether they understand their total procurement budget or not is a question, right? So, however, you have to identify, especially the 3-year master plan. We don't know whether departments, ministries, statutory bodies, etc., are properly preparing their master plan based considering the action plan. Common problem is based on the circulars they have received from the treasury. So that action plan is confined to only 1 year. That is none of your problem now. If it is the practice, you identify that. Even despite the guidelines say 3-year master plan, this organization is preparing 1-year action plan because of this reason. It doesn't matter. Critically, no. And as such, 3-year master plan is not visible, or it is not based on action plan, either way. So then, say at the budgetary stage, you must prepare a proposed plan based on master plan, 1 year budgetary purpose, whether it is done properly. And detailed plan, once the budget is approved, the implementing plan, whether it is properly implementing. Somebody's or procurement division, they are supposed to monitor each and every activity, or using online system. Now I said NPC also launch a new system, or their own system, whatever this thing. And preparatory plan, especially, whether it is done properly. And also, especially today, we are going to discuss, before you plan, you must identify the need, your procurement need analysis done or not. Various things you can think of after today's presentation also. you can get more understanding, insight about the planning aspect. And ultimately, what we are doing in the light of knowledge, skills, and insights, especially knowledge and insights you have gained, you get some new ideas, thinking. And also I said procurement should be planned strategically, right? I think you have another presentation I show, strategic procurement planning, strategic management is there. That is none of procurement business, but it's a top management thing. But strategic procurement planning should be led by the PMD people, because they should identify the organizational objectives, etc., and they have, already developed action plan is there. So their procurement plan should in line with the action plan and the targets, performance targets, outcome targets, output targets. If those are there, so I said at the beginning, procurement is not the final output. People mistakenly think procurement is the final product. I don't think it's the final product. It is only an inputs. I said various ways we provide inputs to the system, whether you are working in a ministry, department, corporation, etc., provincial council, local authorities, whatever. So that is an input to deliver the outputs and outcome expected from your organization. So procurement being the biggest expenditure component other than the salary and all. So how the organization is going to utilize their resources optimally following the strategic planning concept and various other things. So that is a very important point you can consider in your assignment. Whether I don't think, I know I have worked in the government service more than 4 decades. It is far away from the practice. Theoretically, everybody says this, strategic planning, strategy management, things like that. But practical thing, what they do is they prepare a list of goods and works they want to do. That is also done without proper need assessment and value for money concern, things like that. Those are not priority and things like that. So whatever it is, academically, you can, examine critically, no harm, because those are not to criticize your organization or criticize the government. This is to criticize, examine the system. Systemic failure we must understand from the procurement planning point of view. Therefore, don't worry. Whatever you write is with us only. That those are not disclosed to anybody. So be careful. And this is the academic exercise, right? And insight you have obtained in the procurement planning module. And as another one, put forward your suggestions for improvements, right? It is a very open area. So if this is not there, that is the present system. But what we can do, how we can improve procurement planning process in order to arrest the deficiencies we identify. I said there are a number of deficiencies in the procurement system. In your another assignment, we identify in general. One thing is procurement delays, right? And how proper procurement planning can arrest that issue. You can give suggestion. And another one is how quality issue, that is a quality issue is there. How proper planning and proper specification, proper need, assessment and need identification, how you address the quality issue. Sometimes we purchase goods more than the required, not fit for the purpose. That is, guidelines say you must procure things, goods, works, whatever, which are fit for the purpose, right? In order to ensure that VFM, value for money. So how we can improve the quality and various other aspects confined only to planning aspect, not everything, especially the monitoring part. So, I mean, the present day, if you really analyze the organizational problem, they can't spend the budget, procurement budget. So, due to various reasons, number one, I said procurement unpreparedness. So we are not ready to deliver the required preliminary activities in advance in order to implement procurement actions. So those many points are there. That topic is open to discuss. You can ask any question from me regarding this assignment. But I would like to get your views about that before I start my presentation. Today's presentation would help you to this assignment as well, because we discuss basically the preparatory activities which procurement divisions or procurement professionals should look into in order to complete the real procurement planning process and implementation process, right? It will help the implementation part also. So with this comment, I open the forum for you to understand whether you correctly understand the assignment, whether you have any doubts about the assignment. Please come forward. Please speak up. I see very few people talk. I said don't worry about the communication, right? Whatever the way you want, you can communicate with me. It is not a problem. Please.
I am working in irrigation department.
Okay.
That in our only for a single year we have that the notification. You okay? This and this work are allowed to do. So we don't have any 3 year or any such things.
Yeah, it's okay. I know that. Don't worry. Not only irrigation, everywhere may be the case. We theoretically say, the guidelines say is something, the practical situation is something. So that is, you are not responsible for that. That is what we should identify, the systemic failures, right? Systemic failures. So guideline specify these are to be prepared, but it is not there. So as an academic exercise, we can research that areas, and especially using your knowledge and insights and skills you have obtained through this module, you can put forward some the suggestions to improve the system. That is very important.
Other thing, as you mentioned, that when there is some savings in the allocation, we will face problems. So we will haphazardly do something.
Exactly. So that is unplanned procurement. Year-end procurement are very common. Year at the end of the year, very panic. We are very panic to exhaust the budget, right? Because one thing is we have audit queries, audit problems, and also we have to report to Parliament about our performance. Performance in the sense of expenditure only. I mean, nobody is at the moment looking at the output or outcome point of view, because there is no system in the public sector to cater the output and outcome, though we theoretically discuss that. Or in the guideline itself is a strategic procurement planning concept is there in the guideline, but it is far away from the practical situation. So this is a topic you can, open your eyes and, see the systems you have, what guideline says, what theory says, and what is practical, and how we can get out of this. And that is the important outcome of this program also. Okay, any other ideas?
Already
Sir,
in our organization, there is now action plan is not approved in the board. Because of that, based on that action plan, we can't arrange the procurement plan, master procurement plan, based on the action plan. That's
Okay.
the big issue for the
Yeah.
preparing procurement planning
Yes.
currently. But we are done. Take requirement for with the other department, and we are correct only detailed procurement plan. But
Yeah.
we can't create a master procurement plan related to the action plan because of that situation.
Okay, that is you can identify that. But anyway, in the next year onward, so all organizations should forward their master procurement plan, detailed plan to NPC through your ministry for their information. So once the NPC requested through the guideline, that is a must. Nobody can deviate from that. It is a must. That is given from the constitution. So we can get down these people and question, and that will happen in the future. This year we gave some excuse because the guidelines started a little late, and the officers didn't have enough time to do everything. But from next year 2026 onward, system should be streamlined. Still there may be problem, we understand, but according to the guideline.
So, sir, there are some procurement time rather than the procurement, sir. So, practical situations. So,
Sorry.
so rather than the procurement plan, the item. So, time to time, we have to include a new item.
No, that is not a problem. That is not a problem. According to guideline, we say the agencies are open. They can revise the plan, right? Because it is the case, no. This is not a static document. It's a dynamic document based on priorities, government priorities, agency priorities. You can change, but that has to be approved by the same authority. Revised plan to be approved. Otherwise, there will be audit queries also, because I said Auditor General's officers also follow this guideline. Okay, if the government agencies are not adhering, that may be reported to Parliament or COPA committee through their audit reports. So therefore, the government officers, heads of departments, chief secretaries, and everybody should answerable for that question. Even though some lapses are there will be audit trails also, audit queries also. So you understand that. I fully agree with you all, because the system we have is far away from what we talk, no?
Sir, more training should be not only the procurement officers.
Yeah.
All the head of the departments and the other responsible people should give proper training, because of
Yeah.
what is the guideline, what are the responsibilities. They don't know what we want to do.
Okay.
Because of the procurement officers are explained, but they
Yeah.
not get to the responsibility like that. As an example,
Yeah.
we are we want to ascertain committee in the organization,
Okay.
but they didn't get to do anything for that thing. That
Okay.
is, we can't do procurement clearly. As the
Yeah.
procurement officer in organization is the top management, they know what we want to do.
I understand. I understand. Yeah, correct.
Lot of failure to do procurement in government organization because of the lack of knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
So
they don't take a pre-qualifications. They are doing works is emergency. All the procurement want to do emergency, not clear. They want to stay in their position. They all do, but it's not correct.
Correct.
Because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that, it is failure to lot of procurement in the government. As experience, I tell
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah, I know, I know. All things are, I fully agree. I fully agree. So, non competency and lack of knowledge is a big problem because the one thing is they are busy with other work. Huh? So, procurement, the head, the senior, more senior officers, though they held the responsibility, their knowledge, we can't say perfect. So, little while ago, we discussed about the evaluation. You know how many people know these principles? They have been doing the evaluation as chairperson, or members, bid evaluation committee, procurement committee, and I don't think they many people do the correct evaluation. Right now, it is not easy because bidders are vigilant, right? They appeal, they file cases, right? You are answerable. And on Right to Information Act also, anybody, even a citizen, can question, get information, and Parliament oppositions, and therefore we must be careful. And you know that a lot of cases going on against the politicians and officers, those who have not followed the guideline properly, and some lose their jobs also. Some are in jail, and a lot of issues are there. So it is not a joke anyway. Everybody should adhere to guideline. There is no argument on that. Whether they have the knowledge or not is a different issue. If they don't have the knowledge, they have to gather the knowledge. They have to organize training programs, and the PMD has a bigger role to play. So they have to organize training programs, in-house programs, and if they don't have the capacity, they invite external consultants as resource people to provide training, specialized training to different people. That is all government officers' role, job. So I understand they are not doing their proper role, and they criticize. I mean, that is the common thing. Everybody is criticizing somebody, and but they don't do their role properly, and they criticize the president. I mean, not here or every time. Previously also, but criticize the government, the prime minister, cabinet, ministers, everybody, but without doing their job properly. So you understood my discussion on the good governance. I said you do your role properly. That is the contribution you can do. Whatever the position you have, big or small or junior, senior, doesn't matter. You have to do your contribution role properly. But the public officials, especially the head of department and other senior officials, has an accountability regarding the procurement function, especially if they don't do that, there will be problems in the future. I think Honorable President is quite vigilant on this area, and what are the responsibilities they have. Then I think he will discuss with them at suitable forums, and NPC also should give some information to Honorable President. He requested from us, tell us what are the things they should do and things like that. Maybe in the future, I mean, if the government is committed, that can be done. So far, I have very clearly informed you the system is wrong. I'm telling at any forum that is none of public officers' problem, particularly, but the systemic failure is there right from the beginning. That means after independence or before the independence. Earlier, we had a different objective, the colonial objective is different. Now, the sovereign government, after independence, we expect many things from public organization. Citizens expect many things, but citizens are frustrated. Citizens are frustrated. Our loan amount is increasing. We are getting more and more loans, and this loan money is not properly utilized. and lot of corruption, malpractices, a lack of value for money, lack of priority, and things like that. And most of the question or problems could be arrested through proper or sound procurement system, most of the problem. And the other thing is systemic failure. I told you what is the administrative system, financial administration system we have, completely outdated. So in line with international best practice, you will learn in the my first presentation, that is completely different. So, but somehow, even without the broader reform is the ideal solution, even without the broader reform, some of the issues can be healed or addressed through if we follow proper procurement management system, right? Because I said over and over again, procurement budget may be 60% or more than that in every government organization. In general, country's budget is majority is spent on public procurement. So therefore, we'll have to be very cautious when we spend public procurement activities. But the existing paradigm or existing criteria to spend whatever the way you, as you said, one person said, we try to spend the money quickly as possible by following sometimes a guideline. It is not proper. As he said, through emergency procurement or direct procurement or shopping procedures. So because that is sometimes not politicians, because the bureaucrats, right? We can't blame all the time the politicians. That is not, I don't agree with that. Politicians had problem all the time, but bureaucrats, they have the responsibility to manage the public resources in order to achieve the organized objective or the objectives given to the respective ministry, department, etc., etc. But the difference is public sector, ministry, department, provincial council, and statutory bodies are different. And public sector ministry and private sector is completely different, because private sector, they drive towards the profit. So managers, everybody is working to get the maximum profit. So their efficiency, their effectiveness, everything is measured in rupee terms, right? Because they calculate the profit. But in public sector, there is no profit business. I know. Profit maximization is not the government objective, not on Sri Lanka, everywhere in the world. So, but there is another way to ensure their performance. That is what I said, public service delivery or performance, or in other words, generation of outputs and outcomes, etc. So for that, public sector should develop or reform in line with private sector practices, even though the objective is not profit. So that is the missing part. I think the top level bureaucrat should take the lead role rather than criticizing the politicians all the time. They have not taken steps or initiatives to change this paradigm. Now we have given a lot of changes in this guideline. Yesterday we discussed how many changes they have followed so far, whether they have properly established the PMDs, whether they have established proper institution like acceptance committee, variation review committee, etc., etc., and whether they follow, as you said rightly, planning process properly, strategic. I mean, they can do, no? Why can't they do? There is no barrier. Nobody is stopping them. Politicians now say don't do that, but it is purely bureaucratic problem. Now, forget about the past. Past is different. There were a lot of influencers to public officers. I know, personally, I know. So public officers sometimes can't go, everybody can't have the same capacity to go against that, or they want to survive their jobs, so their places or whatever, that is understandable. But now, especially under this government, so everybody understands that government is not interfering much about the activities wrongly or interfering with vested interests or bribery intentions. I mean, significantly low. We can't say zero, I don't know, but significantly low. So now it is up to the public officials or top level bureaucrats to identify the systemic failure and propose improvements. So that's why I gave you an opportunity using proper procurement planning, identify the lapses and identify proper improvement or suggestions to improve that. You can do that academically, right? That's what I say. We try to look at this problem very academically and with knowledge and insights. So that will be helpful at least, right? So with this, I will stop this discussion. I think you are clear on your assignment. Okay?
Sir, in here, the assignments or institutional background we need to explain, sir?
Not much, because our objective is not to disclose the institution per se. But if you don't mind, you can mention the institution. But even without much information about the institution revealing or disclosing, you can discuss the matter. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Right. Today's presentation has different facets or different parts. One thing I discussed the procurement need assessment. Then at part and parcel of the preparatory work, preparation of specifications, preparation of estimates, and especially pre-qualification. Post-qualification also given, but I don't want to discuss much post-qualification, but especially this pre-part, because this is relevant before you plan or before we at least advertise and before we come to the second stage. First stage activities, if you look at our three diagrams we discussed at the planning presentation, first one, what are the preparatory and planning work and pre-contract work and post-contract work. So many things we have to complete if you want to do a proper planning, right? This part and parcel of the procurement planning. Okay. So what is need assessment? Needs assessment. Government procurement is not just about buying environmentally preferably good services, right? Now, as a new concept has come, as you all know, the environmental friendly procurement. I mean, that is also developed by Western. Western people, they develop some concept, and with or without proper understanding, we sometimes grasp. But sustainable procurement is not a bad concept, but especially green procurement. My personal view is we are still not in that level to procure green products. Green bulbs, for example, it is expensive, right? I mean, we can't purchase environmental friendly food also, no? We can't afford vegetables also, green vegetables. Or, that, what do you call this? What the vegetable we say? Organic, yes, organic, without fertilizer and all. It is good, but can't afford. That is the point we must understand. But theoretically, it's okay. Whatever it is not about reducing, it is about reducing the overall impact of government procurement. So that is, you must understand. Needs assessment means not to procure things. Sometimes reverse or reduce the demand of procurement. We try to spend the money, we exhaust the money because our criteria is to expenditure. if you spend the total money, okay, everybody say you are good, high perform organization, because that is not correct. We know very well. So the needs assessment, if you really look at different, one of the most obvious ways to do this is reducing demand for goods, services, and works. Yes, you see that. Need is about avoiding unnecessary purchases. When we identify the requests given by different people and what we do, we cut and chop and include into the plan. That is not planning. People ask what they want. I mean, what they wish to have. I mean, if you are given the freedom, you ask many, many things. Everybody would like to have a printer on his table and various equipment. They don't think about the needs assessment. They say, this is my need. But the procurement division or procurement management team should look at the implications. Why we purchase printers to everybody? Is it a correct thing? No. For example, I said earlier also, rather than purchasing individual printers, provide network facility, printing network facility. Then that reduces the procurement, right? Rather than purchasing many printers. And if you buy many printers, as a result, many spare parts we procure, many service we need, and all are spending money. But that is not the proper way to do. And ensure that what is purchased meets requirement. That is another thing. So fit for purpose, right? Sometimes I said you procure things which is more than our requirement. We construct buildings and ultimately is kept idling. We construct road, many people are not using that road. Some areas, I mean, a lot of example, you know what I meant to understand, right? So many infrastructure projects also, even the history, even today maybe, it is not properly looked at whether this is the real need. But I'm telling again, but you all have your personal budget, your personal income, your personal objectives. But I'm telling you, everybody, I think that vast majority, they know how to manage their money. You all know. I said over and over again, though we have written our mission statement, vision statement on our front door, we know how to manage our limited income. Because we are rational managers, rational people, we know value for money and everything. Right? So nothing to talk about that. So therefore, when we come to government business, it is completely different. We try to exhaust the money and follow the guideline also, if it's possible. Otherwise, we try to deviate the guideline, and you know that is corruption and other things also creep into the system because of that attitude. And that is all because of the systemic failure as well, and also the way you manage your things, right? So those are the things we must look at openly. Designing procurement and contract to allow flexibility over time. So that is also one thing. Flexibility, I will see how. Examples of how need assessment may affect procurement outcomes. A local authority chooses repair furniture rather than purchasing new items. So any government, I don't think in general, but at your home, we never, remove furniture and other things that is worn out or not. We repair. We repair and we use many centuries sometimes, many decades, not centuries, decades, right? That is how we use our assets. And but when you come to public, it's completely different. But again, I said earlier also, when you want to buy laptops or computers, you give somebody or who is conversant with IT, the literature, IT thing, and they prepare the very smart specification, very high resolution, capacity, speed, etc., etc. And we follow guidelines, various methods we follow, and ultimately we use very less percentage capacity-wise, maybe 5% or less than 5%. It is proven. It is proven the percentage of capacity is used less than 5%, especially the IT area. So 95% is waste. How much effort you put to procure that thing? The committees are there, acceptance committee now, every committees are there. But ultimately, everybody was busy also. That is the fundamental problem. I say always the public officers are not idling. They do something, but it doesn't mean those are productive. Those geared towards their objectives and mission. So they do something, their activities. So those activities are maybe redundant, maybe repetitive. I mean, to procure the laptop from the top management to the lower level officer may involve. And if you are working in a ministry, ministry people, department, regional people, everybody is trying to procure things separately, and as a result, everybody become busy, and ultimately money is spent. But what is the purpose ultimately? What is the real outcome of this procurement? Okay, I think you understand the thing. And also I said, how many people think of that at least? Okay, what is your furniture requirement? Whether at least inquire about the excess furniture within the ministry at least, or within the department, right? For example, that is same case in medical also, but I have my reservation all the time, whether we have a proper database of existing medical items linked with the head office throughout the hospital network. I mean, if you have a proper information system, oh, forget about that. You go to a tile shop, go to a main tile shop and select a tile. Then head office people say, no, it is out of stock. But sir, wait a minute, we'll check. Right. So how many tiles you want? 100 tiles. Okay. Yes, 200 lot is available in Jaffna branch. It take 1 week to get down. That means very quickly they trace the same tile you selected is available in a far away place. That is nothing but data, integrated data system. But for example, I'm telling one hospital is lack of, say, insulin, for example. Actually, they don't have insulin properly. But before we purchase insulin to that particular hospital, is there a system or integrated system to look at, like the tile company, check what are the hospitals they have excess insulin. Sometimes that insulin get expired, redundant after a couple of days. So, but that information is not online, not online available. If we have the available information, we can transfer that. That system should be developed. I am pretty sure that is not properly done. So if it is properly done, we cannot identify out of stock situation. And also, when we procure things, the stock control system also should be supported. Each and every item you procure, you should have analysis, right? What are the critical items for the business or the operation of this department? What are the normal items? What are the trivial or very low value, low important items. It is proven. It is not my theory, international theory. It is 80-20 rule. That means item-wise 80% or 70% represent only 10% of the value. Item-wise 10% represent 70%, 80% of the value. Those are called critical items. Hospital maybe or department, or maybe you must identify what are the very important critical items for the business operation of your organization. So that procurement and stores control system should amalgamated, should link hand in hand, right? Otherwise, the stock control is doing as post-mortem. After 1 year, after 6 months, that Jaffna hospital say we have excess insulin that is now is outdated. We have to destroy. Whereas the same thing purchased from other hospital using emergency procurement or direct procurement. That is systemic failure, right? So we should not worry much about this. Now everything is developed, right? What we call ERP system, Enterprise Resource Management Resource Planning System, right? ERP. So everything can be done. Similarly, IT is the core equipment we can, get information. So needs assessment when we come, we should have, before we purchase things, we should have the, at least within the ministry or at least within the department, how many excess vehicles, how many excess furniture we have, how many excess computers we have, whether we can repair rather than purchase. Island-wide, if we have a proper network and all ministries, department, I mean, you just think that's very beautiful thing. A government department buys fewer desktop because some staff prefer to work on laptops. Yeah, that is another thing. Now that era is different. People prefer to work at home also, from home, using desktop, especially private sector doing that way, right? What is this? A school awards a flexible contract for catering. Flexible contract. What is this flexible contract? Earlier also we discussed here. Yeah, flexible. That means what? Now, if we don't have flexible contract arrangement, how many student, for example, student food supply or any organization, so what you call this prison or services, army, navy, and they provide food and things like that based on the number of officers in the platoon or whatever. But when the real food is provided, many people have gone on leave sometimes, right? Especially, I mean, this example, student. So how many students in the school? 500. That is based on the registers. But every day, they are, because of the absenteeism, and their real attendance may be 400, 350. But if we don't consider that matter and give a contract to a supplier, service provider, okay, you must provide 500 meals per school, something like that. So one thing is this a waste. Another thing is giving a big room for corruption, right? So a school award flexible contract for catering service so that the amount of food provided reflect daily student numbers, rather than registered student in the register. So that they have to provide some, modalities or systems to cater the flexible contract. Every day before this time, that information is provided to service provider. Okay. Another point is when we identify the needs, you have to consult the users, user consultation. How many times we properly consult the real users? No, it is not done. So from some other people decide what do you procure without properly analyzing the user's requirements. The users of procurement may be internal or buying organization or external, maybe citizens. That is internal or external. External means sometimes the citizens, right? We purchase medicine to use citizens, right? Patients. So now, of say fertilizer. Now many people criticize fertilizer, but the fertilizer companies or other relevant ministries, department people involved in procuring of fertilizer. But when the farmers say this is not the proper fertilizer we want, right? This is not effective or something like that. So that is not there, and we decide, we prepare specification without properly consulting. We don't have some system how to consult the citizens before we purchase, right? In order to ensure purchase are appropriate to their need, user must be consulted. Users must be consulted. How to do that? This should be take place prior to the start of the procurement and may continue in the bidding process and contract execution. Every stage, bidding process and execution process will have to consult the users. It seems common sense, but appropriate user consult is often lacking in procurement procedures. So it's lacking, right? In your assignment also, you can think of that, whether we consult the users, how many times how we consult, whether we have a questionnaire or something like that. Example, how to conduct a user consultation. An example, a questionnaire, or online survey to determine the user needs and preferences, right? How many organizations, government organizations have done any techniques like this? Questionnaire and get people, so citizens, so stakeholders preferences and their needs identified. So why we can't do that? Nobody stop us to do that because we are not doing. Observation and analysis of existing user pattern. Observations. Observation. You can observe nothing. Observations and analysis. You have to analyze the existing patterns. A review and planning meeting. Oh, that is important. So when you are planning, I said you have to plan, and the PMD should take the lead role. It doesn't mean they can prepare the plan without the relevant users and at least the divisions, right? You should conduct a planning meeting to get their views and their requirements and their preferences, everything, right? To which all relevant stakeholders are invited. Okay, inviting users to attend supply demonstration. Okay, we invite the supplier to do demonstration. Then we invite them. Invite users to demonstration. Some goods, not always. Held as part of the preliminary market consultation. Why are buying? Other question, we have to prepare a need statement also. After first couple of things we can do, then we answer the question, why are we buying? Prior to launching a contract, the reason for the purchase must clear, not just because we bought it last year. That is maybe the same thing we purchased in the last year and couple of years, or we want to finish the procurement budget as quickly as possible. I mean, something like that we give. It should be possible to summarize the need in simple statement. Summarize the need in a simple statement. Right, which confirms if alternative to purchase have been taken. Alternatives. What are the different alternatives we can consider? Right, alternative purchases. Alternative ways to fulfill this one. Example, resource sharing. Rather than purchasing, you share it. As I mentioned earlier, rather than purchasing individual printers, network printing, or sharing. Repairs, as I said earlier, upgrades. Rather than new purchase, you upgrade the system to a required level. And leasing rather than purchasing, lease out. Now, rather than purchasing vehicles, government can lease vehicles using proper leasing terminology, not the way we do it right now. This statement may also be useful for the procurement business case. It should be open to challenge on environmental grounds also. Need statement, as we mentioned here, example, the department has identified a need for they identified 6 smart screens for use in 12 meeting rooms. That is the requirement. The screens will facilitate web conferencing and reduce the need for document printing. Based on user consultation, a maximum of 6 meetings requiring screens are held at any one time. Because even though we have 12, at a time we use only 6. That is their pattern of usage, right? So that is similar now. Even buildings or conference rooms. Supposing you have a conference room in your ministry and departments and other regional office, and why can't they use the same conference room wherever it is vacant, or you arrange your activities according to the schedules rather than constructing meeting rooms everywhere. But not now we do. Every department, regional office also say we need a meeting room, right? Or now we are not going to meet everybody now. There's all virtual meeting. Now we more advanced thing are held at any one time. The existing projectors consume a large amount of energy. Another one is existing projectors consume a large amount of energy. Those are not energy efficient. Who will think that? Whether this is energy efficient or not. But I am telling you again, when you come to your private matter, you are very cautious about your electricity bill. If the bill goes up, we immediately try to set up a solar system or something like that because you can't afford that. So, but in the government, what we do is we pay the bill using the allocation, right? If you don't have enough money, you ask additional money. If the money is not given, you keep the bills. And next year, you pay that arrears. If you spend more money 1 year, you probably get more money from the budget also. Supposing this year, last year, you have spent 3 million for electricity, then automatically you have the right to ask 3 million or more for the next year also. And the budget people also should give 3 million or more because your past consumption is 3 million. But who will think of that, whether 3 million is how 3 million comes, whether you properly utilize the electricity, energy saving bulbs you have replaced, whether you off the light whenever you are not using ACs, and those are not taken into account, right? We spend the money. But when you come to private business, we do that very correctly. Not even people don't know about that. They know how to spend their money. Often break down. That is also there. The department will consider proposal for leasing the screen rather than purchasing new thing. Lease. And there are a lot of issues, energy, breakdowns, everything's there whenever breakdown. So we can't utilize that. So you see how many things we can think of. So then what are we buying? What we are buying, right? Need assessment and user consultation help define the subject matter. What we are buying. This tells the market what you are buying and will include whether the contract is for suppliers, whether the contract is for whatever the contract may be, works or goods or. So you identify what kind of procurement you do, works or goods or service. I said at the beginning, that is the fundamental thing. You identify the category, whether it's a goods or works or service. Sometimes people don't understand that either. The title of the short description, title and short description, you have to identify that. What? The subject matter is important because it determines the scope of government procurement. Determines the scope of government procurement criteria. GP means government procurement. Based on the subject matter, criteria is different. If it is works different, goods different, service different. You apply contracting authorities, that means PEs, that is international use, PEs, are free to define subject matter of the contract in the way which best meet their needs, right? For example, based on the need statement in the previous slide, the subject matter might be supply of energy efficient smart screen, right? Earlier one, our subject matter is supply of energy efficient smart screens. So when you identify the procurement, you should give a subject title for that, no? So that is also done in a systematic way, following these methods. Appropriate government procurement criteria can then be chosen for each aspect of the contract. What are the things? Specification, award criteria, contract performance process, etc. You see, if we identify the subject matter, then we have to identify the criteria and specifications, what type of performance we expect from the supplier or contractor, various things come out. So those are systematically you have to do, otherwise, very haphazard way you do things without going through this process. The specification. Now, it's a very important area when you identify your requirement. Need assessment helps to choose the most appropriate specification, whether based on functional requirement or standards. I mean, we have basically two types of specification, performance and technical. Performance aspect, technical aspect, something. Performance is functional. Avoid the copy and paste approach. Now we do copy and paste because somebody prepare or they download from the website and or we'll ask the favored supplier to give the specification for us, and we are not following anything like this. The need set, copy and paste approach. Like the need statement, specification should be open to challenge. One is environmental ground, as well as ensure that they are not overly restrictive. I think that is a very important point. I said yesterday also, or today morning, the other one, because specification should be generic. Should be generic, not restrictive. Not restrictive. Should be generic. That word is important. And allow SMEs to compete. That is another aspect. When we prepare this thing, we must consider who will be the suppliers. If we target the high-level international suppliers, that will affect the small and medium-term suppliers. Procurement document must contain technical specification except in competitive dialogue. Competitive dialogue is a World Bank. I mean, we also have competitive dialogue, but not in this word. Competitive dialogue, we also have. I discuss later. It's a very important concept, right? Competitive dialogue. This should reflect the information gathered from the need assessment, but not be overly prescriptive. Example. Buying the smart screen specification set out basic requirement in terms of functionality and energy efficiency. Award criteria are used to evaluate functionality and innovative aspect. Award criteria, we prepare, evaluate the functionality, how we can evaluate the function or performance, and innovative aspect. Beyond the specific example, connectivity, energy saving features, upgrade option, things like that. So those are innovative things, right? So all things are matter if you really go into details, right? I said that there are two types of specification: performance or output-based specification and technical. Performance or output-based specification describe the need you wish your procurement to fulfill rather than prescribe exactly how you want this done. Allow suppliers to determine the most effective and efficient way to meet this need and propose innovative solution with an environmental benefit. Example, define official lighting requirement. We want to illuminate lighting in terms of lumens required in different rooms at different times, not in terms of number. Rather, number of lighting we are not saying. We say required different rooms and times we give to the suppliers, or rather than number of lighting fixtures and voltage. That is our normal way. We say we need number of lights. This is voltage should be this, right? So then bidder can think of, I mean, in this case, bidder can think of what is the most appropriate solution for that to provide lighting. Who we are buying. So that is another aspect of needs. Joint procurement can save resource, create a stronger demand for green goods. Okay, that is. As part of the need assessment, consider whether any of the following applies. Can you buy from existing framework contract or framework contract? Rather than going for new one, why not you buy using the framework existing? Can you set up a framework or contract that will used by others? Can you conduct a joint procurement with one or more other authorities? Other authorities. Rather than individually purchase, at least within the ministry or at least within the department. Different approaches to joint purchasing exist and may in some cases involve centralized purchasing. So that is a different idea. A lot of advantage we get, some disadvantages also. Now our procurement is basically decentralized, right? Decentralized. But some advantage we can get from centralized procurement, like ministry or department at least. If national wise also is very important, right? Earlier we had that system, but there are some drawbacks also. For government procurement, joint procurement can help to send the market a stronger signal regarding demand and stimulate investment. So if you have, supposing if government can identify the laptop requirement of the entire government, right? Entire government, say 2026, we need this number of laptops. And we provide that information. Okay, we need 10,000 laptops for the use of 2026 in Sri Lanka. And then the suppliers can invest money on R&D research. And also they can, do some innovative things, green production processes. I mean, earlier I said a lot of green concepts are there. Certification, labeling, green labeling and things like that. The point is, if we have a bulk purchase, the investors, they stimulate, they encourage to do things to improve the product, rather than everybody is purchasing one or two, or vehicles, for example. How many vehicles we purchase a year or entire government, and we provide that demand to the vehicle manufacturers. Okay, you give us smart energy saving vehicles, more efficient vehicles. I mean, it's a bulk purchase, we can get a lot of benefits and things like that. The example, the department which is only purchased 6 smart screen is unlikely to be able to influence the market, yes, to provide more energy efficient model. However, if it set up a framework on behalf of all government departments, market may respond more favorably, right? So they provide more innovative solutions. All right. This does not form a contract commitment need, right? That is another thing. This applies to serves and works as much. Yeah, how needs assessment may inform the scope of contract. The size of need of his building should be based on frequency of street. I mean, those are some example, right? How we are buying another flexible contract. Earlier also flexible contract. All questions are important. What we are buying, when we are buying, how we are buying. You see, Contract and frameworks normally last for several years and needs can change over time. This time. So now our guideline also facilitate for purchasing of framework several years. 3 years in our guideline. And needs can change over this time. Contract terms should be sufficiently flexible to allow adjustment to volume frequency. They may also include the best available technology or continuous improvement clause to drive environmental. Okay, that is also possible in a long run if we have a long-term collaboration with the suppliers like framework. I mean fertilizer suppliers. Okay, government purchasing fertilizer. Every year they tender and delay is there. People, farmers don't get their fertilizer in time. All right, there is a problem. Why not they identify using the framework agreement, identify pre-qualified people and register them and write 3-year framework agreement, right? Then there are a lot of benefits. Framework agreement is a good solution for flexible contract, are particularly good for allowing flexibility in purchasing, avoiding getting locked into contracts which require specific volume of suppliers, services or works to be purchased. While these may seem to offer good value at the outset, if need change, then the environment. Okay. For example, deliveries of stationery every week may encourage excess consumption. All right. A daily cleaning service may not be needed. Daily cleaning may not be needed for all parts of the building. A school catering contract should be reflect the number of students, as we discussed earlier. Catering number of students present each day. Some example. Intelligent contract design for government procurement involve flexibility so that volume is always just right. A framework agreement are particularly useful as they allow the adjustment to be made over time without new bidding procedure. This is a very good important change we have made in the guideline. So you can have a fixed type of arrangement in your procurement, but one restriction is that we can have a framework agreement for similar things, similar product, similar building, similar service. Okay, not different. Okay. Then we go to another part of procurement, preparedness. I think we have very seriously discussed about procurement unpreparedness. Therefore, we have introduced a new format also. Before you, after you prepare a master plan, you start your preparedness activities or preparatory activities, address the problems you have, actions that should be taken to implement procurement action, right? That is the definition. Preparation of plans, drawing, designs, bidding documents, specification, etc. There are many things. And clearance from respective authorities, example, land. How you consider land matter alone? If you want to construct a road or whatever, how many years sometimes you spend to clear the, acquire the lands or clear the lands? It is part of the procurement. Even though project is approved, the money is allocated, nothing can be done until you acquire lands. So those are part and parcel of the preparatory or procurement preparedness. So another word we can say preparatory procurement, preparatory activity. That is the word we use in the guideline. Plan also acts. Okay. These actions should be started once the project procurement activities approved in principle. That is the first point. How we get the approval from for the project? There's a procedure in the government. if the project value is more than, I think, 50 million, yeah, I can, my understanding and memory, that has to be approved by the National Planning Department. All projects exceeding 50 million. You check that, if it is more than 200 million, earlier it was 100, and new guideline we have mentioned 200, that has to be approved by the cabinet also. So once we get the approval in principle, some document to be prepared, I said. This action should be started once the project is approved in principle, you can start. Land acquisition, everything, right? These documents should be ready at the time of submission of estimate to the treasury. So after that, you ask money, no? That budgetary stage, say that is, we can say at the budget. Now these days, I think it's over. Budget is next year, the next week. Budgetary stage. Budgetary stage. At the budgetary stage, the government institution should give some information. How about their next year, upcoming years, capital expenditure especially? I mean, procurement is 100% capital expenditure, 100% procurement. No? So then at that stage, you must give that information to budgetary department. Okay, we are ready. We have prepared initial plans, drawings, etc. Enable management to define what actions to be taken in respect of procurement activity. Allow identification and management and minimizing risk in the program implementation. Minimize the risk. Implementation risks minimized because of these preparatory activities. Can be used as a template for program monitoring, thus helping timely recognition of problem, enable take timely corrective action, help all parties the procurement process, sequence and timing of the stage action, enable to identify who is external. Okay, all things are some benefits you can get if you prepare your preparatory things, procurement prepared things in advance. These are number of stages we can identify procurement preparatory preparedness. Determine the broad scope and timetable. Whatever the procurement, given procurement based on project, agency, master plan, action plan. So identify the broad scope as we identify how we subject matter. Conduct market research. That is another thing. So earlier in the need assessment, it is included because we have to survey market and identify potential procurement solutions, meeting overall program requirement, source of supply, cost estimate, more precise statement of requirement, need, requirement or needs, need statement, statement we mentioned earlier. Then determine the pre-procurement requirement for programs such as investigation, studies, land acquisition, environmental studies. Then determine the method of procurement and packaging. All are things, all are relevant things. Then prepare draft procurement plan, master plan or whatever. Identify and list all activities of the procurement process such as preparation of bidding document, pre-qualification, bidding, opening, all things we have to identify, all activities relevant in the procurement process. Identify the output of each activity. What is the output of this bidding document? Output of this pre-qualification document? output of this bid opening minute, output of this bid evaluation report. This is also part of it. That is a contract, awarded contract. I mean, something like. So you identify the time target. I mean, that is there in our procurement plan, detail plan, right? So I give some more detail. And finally, obtain approval for the procurement preparedness. That is also another plan now, preparatory plan. That is the word we use now, preparatory plan, right? So now you have to prepare the preparatory plan for the procurement you identified after the need assessment. Appoint a PCTC or BC, we say, word, and task manager. Now it is another one we have mentioned in our guideline. Every procurement, I mean, for works contract, we have a task manager or engineer. But goods and services, we don't have. The guidelines say you identify the procurement manager, I mean, task manager. That those are not coming from the PMD. They are not task managers. They are facilitators for the given procurement and other officials to collaborate with the task manager. Conduct procurement planning meeting to finalize the draft procurement plan and procurement time schedule and inform all concerned of the outcome of the plan. So this is, if you take both together, needs assessment and preparedness, that is interconnected, right? So with this, I'll stop for a small break again. Then we discuss the technical specification part. Okay. That is also part of the preparatory activity. Right. Technical specification, what we can learn. The first step in the public procurement process is to identify the requirements, right? All procurement requirements begin with the perception of need. We know that. This requirement definition analysis, which is essential not only for new procurement requirement and project initiation and concept development, but also for requirement needed for maintaining existing operations. The requirement definition involves defining describing what is needed and will be procured, collection information, identify appropriate solution, and specifying these in specifying for goods, equipment, terms of reference for services, statement of works for works, and actually basically, in goods procurement, we use specification. In works procurement, we say statement of works. In addition, some specification also there as part of the works. And service, especially consultancy service, we prepare TOR word, right? At the end of the requirement definition stage, a clear determination of the terms of reference, technical specification, or statement of work, including estimate of the budget are developed. Okay. After we develop the specification only, we can prepare the budget. Specification, etc. constitute the technical basis of the solicitation. Solicitation means, what is that? Is the bidding document. Different countries, they use different names, bidding document. Another word, dossier. Dossier is another word they use, bidding dossier. You can check that. And the evaluation of offers to determine if they satisfy the requirement and stipulated in the bidding document. They become the heart around which the eventual contract is written and later administered. They have an effect on the procurement that lasts its entire lifetime, and from planning through the bid evaluation, award and contract performance up to completion. So, I mean, specification is so important, you all very well know. A clear and appropriate definition and description of the need is utmost important. Requirement definition should identify the exact need, technical and quality, aiming at avoiding over-specification, as this may increase the cost. Avoiding over-specification more than our requirement, that increase the cost, right? Or under-specification, both not good, where need will not be met, as well as the when it is needed, timing, in order to avoid progress delays or losses, for example, due to extra storage and handling charges, avoid progress. Needed timing. Timing is important, right? When we prepare the specification, and otherwise, unnecessary extra storage and handling charges if delivered earlier than required. Requirement definition is formally the responsibility of the requisitioner. That means user. However, the procurement officer is responsible. Procurement officer here, the person who the task manager or something like that, the person who involved in the procurement process is responsible for ensuring the technical description provided by the requisitioner is free of ambiguities, is clear and generic, I said earlier also, and promote fair competition among the suppliers. So they should give this thing, what do you call this, generic requirement. The procurement officer plays a support role to the requisitioner in the following areas. Procurement officer plays a support role, right? Provide information on previous, current and upcoming procurement activities for similar product or services. A review of requisition for completeness and ensure that the specification or descriptions are not restrictive or biased toward the specific supplier. So those things, now I don't know what is the mechanism in our government system to check those things. Procurement officer sometimes consult the supplier or download from the website or internet and, attach to the document, and the technical committee or bid development committee approve, and nothing much is happening. Assist in market studies to identify sources of suppliers, pricing and availability information, and extent of competition. That is all procurement officers' role. Provide advice on best method to obtain goods and services in timely manner at the best possible. I mean, this role, it is a lacuna in our government service. So one thing is especially goods and services. Works, of course, sometimes we have professional engineers, and they up to some extent they engage, but we don't have qualified engineers in government institution. But particularly goods and services, I see there are no dedicated staff for that. We don't have procurement officers or task managers. That's why we have identified in our new guideline, you have to identify who is the task manager or procurement manager. Now the head of the department or secretary should identify he is the officer in charge of procuring goods. He is the officer in charge of procuring services or consultant services. And generally works contract, in many cases, not many players, not everywhere, they identify as engineers because they have a distinct role, right? Whatever it is, introduction to requirement definition, so requirement analysis, and then gathering of information, then writing of specification, terms of reference or SOW, then requisitioning, right? So these steps should be followed. Requirement analysis. During this phase, the requisitioner will identify the requirements, i.e., what is the list of functions, performance, and technical characteristics needed to be included in the specification. They should identify that. User, requisitioner. For example, the requirement for buying a generating set or generator set, I don't know. Generating can be a generator. Generator set include where will it be used, under which weather condition, what is the minimum power requirement, kVA, kilowatt, is the local representative needed, etc., etc. For services, the objective should be identified. For works, what should be the constructed, where and who, what, for what purpose, that should be defined. I mean, those are the theoretical jargons I'm telling you in order to develop the relevant specification, TORO, SOWs, right? Whether it is not happening, it's a different thing. So under information gathering, once the requirement has been defined, information need to be gathered on what is available on the market. what is available in the market. So you have to gather information to define the specification. For services, for example, information should be sought on the current situation, which activities and outputs are required to achieve the objective defined, what input is required to perform the activities. For works, for services, for works, information should be sought on the construction site, soil conditions, access to the site, material to be used, possible drawings, local condition that must be adhered to, permissions that need to be sought, etc. Developing specifications require consultation with the requisitioner and with procurement officer who have been procuring similar product or services. Technical specialists, other use a similar. Sometimes we have to consult technical specialist. Other users of similar goods also can consult, right? As he said, it should be a generic description. It is given in our guideline also of required. Generic means common. Generic means common, not biased towards a particular product. Of the required attributes fundamental to the need of prime user of the requirement, which include indication of how fitness for purpose will be measured. The technicals will be included in the bidding document and will become an annex of the eventual contract awarded as a result of the contract. Specification should reflect correctly the needs of the PE and budget estimation made for the acquisition. So next one is it interconnect the budget, right? Incorrect or unrealistic specification are a common reason for many of the problems that latter frequently occur during the award process, such as needs for issuing amendment to the bidding document. I mean, if you don't prepare proper specification, so we have to do addenda, because when we prepare incomplete or biased things, the bidders oppose or object at the pre-bid meeting, and we have to change the bidding document. Cancellation of bidding sometimes, lodging of complaints, yes, a lot of complaints come, and also problems, right? Technical specification means the totality of the technical requirement contained in the particular in the contract documents, defining the characteristic required of a service to be provided, a material or product to be supplied, or works to be constructed, and thus permitting these to be described in a manner such. Okay, all things are, I mean, yes. But this is important. What are the key principles you should adhere in addition to this additional reading? Non-discrimination. There is a general ban on technical specification of goods of a specific make or source. We cannot use specific make or source, right? Or a particular process, and that have the effect of favoring or eliminating certain enterprises or products, right? That is generally not done. Equivalent and mutual recognition. We must presume that product manufactured in accordance with the standards. Standard, that is an important thing when we come to technical specifications. Drawn up by competent standard bodies. In Sri Lanka, we say CELE standard. Internationally, we can say US standard, European standard. So that is okay to the essential requirement laid down in the procedures concerned. So we can say Sri Lankan standard or equivalent. Equivalence. That means all other equivalent standard are accepted. So there are different types of generic specification. I said that is common to everybody. Conformance specification, then your specification should ensure the confirm something. Detailed design specification. I mean, even though there are 4 categories here, ultimately it generally in our guideline also we end up with all conformance and performance. In other words, conformance is technical, performance is functional. These 2 things. Okay, I don't want to read out everything, but you can just go through. Step of drawing, understand the nature of the requirement, examine the details of the requirement, state the performance required, right? Communicate and test the requirement and with stakeholders, include into condition, right? So, I mean, different authors give different categorization, but say, for example, functional and performance is almost same. Concentrate on what the product is to do and is less interested in materials and dimension. So we don't worry about the material they use or dimension, rather we go for functional aspect. Performance also same, describe what is to be achieved rather than providing a fixed description of how it should be done. Example, fine tip dry erase markers. Erase marker. Durable tip will not soften or spread. Quick drying. Wipes off easily. Certified non-toxic. And marker industry standard. So whatever it is, that is an international example. So these all are same. Technical, define exact design and details are good. Example, physical attributes, material to be used, power inputs and output also, the manufacturing process required, or in the case of service, the working methods. So, I mean, those are different. International best practice in preparation of technical specification. State the requirement clearly. I mean, over and over again, same thing. State requirement clearly, concisely and logically in functional and performance, that is functional terms, unless specific technical requirements are needed. I mean the functional or performance term, unless specific technical requirement. Technical requirement is essential, it's a different story. Then come to technical part. Include enough information for suppliers to identify what is required and cost it accordingly. Provide equal opportunity for all potential suppliers to offer goods which satisfy the user need, including alternative solutions. Do not over-specify requirement, as this might limit the number of responses. Do not include unnecessary features. Do not include unnecessary features that might prevent some suppliers from offering. Indicate requirement regarding delivery and after-sales service. Delivery and especially after-sales service. Delivery also important. So we must identify, especially supply, installation and commissioning, and also after-sales. Whatever possible, indicate the final use. Do not allow product requested to be covered by sole patent rights. Sole patent right. If we say sole patent right, that means we are limiting the competition, right? Non-consulting service will come. Not consulting, actually, that word is not correct. consulting. Non-consulting service, if you come, similar to goods, are required to satisfy specific needs, and specification should be written that the output provided by the service is measurable. Output in a service measurable. Okay. How a service has an intangible nature, because that is we learn not like works and goods. Service is different. Consultancy also say generally the service is not tangible. Like there is a physical output sometimes, but not always tangible. Sometimes it's tangible, but generally service is differ from works or goods. However, service has a tangible, intangible nature, which makes it more difficult to specify, even more difficult to measure. The service of cleaning an office, cleaning, can provide an example, the view of that clean to one person. Clean means what? Clean to one person may result in a complaint from another person that office is not clean. So, how we assess the performance? Huh? So, therefore, we'll have to follow different criteria for that. Services differ from goods in several ways. Services are intangible generally, involve the performance of activities or tasks. Services cannot be owned like a product. Service cannot be stored. Sample of services cannot be seen prior to purchase. Goods, we can, see the sample. Some service cannot be performed remotely. Services are provided by people. Some characteristic. These differences have implication for specification. To overcome the difficulties that arise, service specification must not only lay down parameters for bidders' performance, but also act a quantifiable basis by which the people working for bidders can measure the detail of the service to be provided, time and point of service provision, and many things are there because over and over again, similar things. Now the works. In case of works, PE should prepare a statement of work, SOW, including design, drawing, bill of quantity, right? And technical specification also relevant in addition to the statement of works. That should describe the works in sufficient detail to identify the location, nature, and any complexities involved. So now you identify when we come to service, goods and work specification are different and different features are there. Now come to guidance on how to write the specification. So you have to use simple language, number one. You never use very complex, non-understandable, very technical terms when you prepare the specification. Writing the specific. Avoid words or phrases that are not specific or that may lead to ambiguity. Example, should. You should not write that. High. High. What is high means? You cannot use that word when you write specific. High. Maybe. Normal. What is normal? What is reasonable? Approximately. Could. Possible. Those words to be avoided when you write a specification. And as I said, don't use jargons, right? Different stories. Find terms, symbols, and acronyms. Always use terms, symbols, and acronyms wherever possible. And you have to define that. Write in layman's term, do not expect the specification to be read only by experts. Layman's term. Those are important. Use an attractive format. This will reflect your professionalism and encourage potential bidders to read the specific, because this is read by and responded by the bidders, contractors and supply service providers, and generally they have to follow some principle. Use logical structure, some sequential logical. Be a concise, not very lengthy, detailed one, as possible without reducing understanding. Aim to define each aspect of a requirement is 1 or 2 paragraphs. Do not explain the same requirement in more than one section. Do not explain same requirement, because otherwise they get confused, right? All are independently explained. Number each section and paragraph using logical and consistent numbering method. Ask someone who is not familiar with the spanner to read it to gauge its readability and effect. So once you have written, let a normal person to read and whether they understand and it is readability and effectiveness. Okay. Writing specific equipment specification. An agency who has established link with certain suppliers may be reluctant to accept others about whom it knows relatively little. Okay. Reader's qualification. Okay, just read that. Clarity and consistency, you just read that, but I want to discuss another point. Clarity and consistency, all are relevant characteristics of equipment writing. Okay, now turn to another area of preliminary work, so preparatory work, and your total cost estimate. Total cost estimate is discussed in our manual also. What is this? Preparation of cost estimate. Once we have developed specification, only we can develop the estimate for goods. And once we prepare SOW, and we can think of preparation of BOQ. Estimating of cost of infrastructure as accurate to the extent possible plays a pivotal role when deciding a feasibility of such investments. Preparation of national budget toward undertaking such development, mitigating the consequences due to fund shortage surplus during the implementation stage, and to determine. I mean, that is a common problem in government. Whatever the specification we prepare, cost estimate we prepare, due to various reasons, that one thing is price escalation, other one is scope changes, variations. So now in the guideline, we have established a separate institution called Variation Review Committee. But why we openly vary the edge, but that is insufficient scope identification, specification, and many, many things. Or intentionally we do that. That is also there. In order to get the approval for the project, we identify the scope narrowly. Narrowly identify and prepare BOQ statement, and with the hope of changing the scope. Sometimes we come to know the budget has revised double, manyfold, not percentage, 100%, maybe 100%, no more than 100%. So when we prepare the estimate, you have to think, what are the preparation of estimate? Such estimate can be broadly categorized into costs at the conceptual stage, preliminary estimates, and detailed total cost estimate. There are 3 stages. Cost estimate at the conceptual stage. At this stage, what really exists is a very crude ballpark figure, and that's the word they have used, ballpark figure, based on the historical data, extrapolated appropriately, maybe from the similar experience in the same sector of the country or cost of similar activities carried out in the neighboring countries. So, I mean, that is technical jargon, so I don't understand. Cost estimate at preliminary stage, once it is agreed to carry on with the conceptual stage, specialized institutes, firms may carry out a preliminary set of architecturally design drawing, etc. of the proposed infrastructure development. After reasonably accurate site investigation, such drawings will facilitate to carry out more detailed costing. Such drawings will facilitate for detailed costing based on the historical unit rate for similar activities as we discuss here, per linear meter or square meter or any other empirical methodology. I mean, that is how they do the estimate. The third stage, cost estimate following the detailed engineering design and other factors. Once there is an agreement to proceed with the project, it is necessary to develop detailed drawings. Environmental plans and social action plans, such as detailed resettlement action plan, purely from a technical perspectives. That those are develop detailed drawings and detailed plans, environmental plan, resettlement plan, all will have to cost. Purely from a technical perspective, the design institute, consultant, or other implementing agency based on their capacity must develop detailed drawings and cost estimate. Having performed appropriate engineering investigations such as hydrological, geotechnical, forecasting on landslide hazard, and based on work breakdown elements, or those are highly technical engineering terms you can read. The above work item will then summarize in a bill of quantity. I mean, all the steps they have to follow to prepare the BOQ. Now you understand the different sequential order they follow, right? It is not easy, right? For the proposed project under different headers such as preliminaries, foundation work, earthwork, concrete work, pavement work, plastering, electricity work, etc., etc. Water supply, drainage, roof work. In addition, the direct and indirect taxes have to be included into the above rates. Also, when preparing the unit rate, due consideration has to be given to the specification applicable for job, including the standard. So specification also come into the picture when preparing the BOQ, right? Appropriate provision have to be made for contingency also. You know that when we see BOQ, there's two important things, contingency and provisional sums also. Price adjustments, preliminaries, price adjustments. That is, price adjustments is governed by the different conditions given in the document, right? Preliminaries, engineers, facilities, provisional sums, day work schedules, etc. The above estimate will be the basis for inviting competitive bids, proposals, or even negotiating contract following direct contracting. In the event that the budgetary resources have to be identified for project execution, one should consider all the associated costs towards implementing environment and social. I mean, this There are software and standard norms available for preparation of unit cost for works element, which will be facilitate preparation of cost estimate. I mean, that is also available. Procurement infrastructure development projects. In most cases, the implementing agency prepare detailed design and related BOQ by themselves or with the support of the external consultant. So if we don't have the internal capacity, we can use individual law consulting firms for that, or government like CECB or other agencies also available to provide civil works related to such development. In some cases, implementing agency may use design, supply, and install type of contract. Design, supply, and install contract. In this case, design and build, turnkey. There are different usage, right? In this case, the selected contractor will be required to carry out the detailed design. I mean, especially design and build. So contract is responsible to develop the design. Our hazard is minimized, but we give our requirement, employees requirement based on that. Turnkey also same, right? Once the design is approved, the contractor will carry out the works in accordance with the agreed designs. These type of contracts are used to construct power plants, transformer station, water, I mean, there are a lot of examples. The BOQ, the drawings and the standard will form part of the procurement document. So that is our concern. BOQ, plan, drawing, standard will form a part of procurement document, part and partial. Responsibility of the cost estimate. The procuring entity shall prepare conceptual, preliminary, and detailed cost estimate, including all associated costs as required and appropriate different stages. TCE should be identified cost of procurement prepare. I mean, this should include the preparedness activity also and post-contract award activities. Preparatory and post, once the contract is awarded, to pay to the contract. Total cost estimate shall include maximum 5% of direct construction cost for preparatory. That is in our guideline, right? So we can allocate 5% of the DCC, direct construction cost, as procurement preparedness or preparatory activities. If applicable, maximum of 10% DCC shall be allocated for physical contingency. That means scope change and appropriate price fluctuations, right? Price escalation. But according to our this thing, in addition to this physical contingency, price fluctuation is separately provided. You look at that. TC, I think I have a doubt about that. I mean, all price fluctuations also reflected in the contingency provision or not? I mean, anybody can tell me, engineers here? What is our provision given in our guideline? If you look at the, okay, we'll look at the guideline is there. Okay. So my understanding is physical contingency is provided from the contingency, that means scope change and things like that. But price escalation is separated, I think. The total cost estimate shall also include VAT and other things. The TC shall include the amount of applicable VAT. VAT should be provided in the TC for the contingency provision as well. The amount of VAT to be shown separately. Okay. 5% of direct construction cost shall be allocated for procurement preparedness activities as per the following chart. Yeah, chart is given. That is preparatory. Yeah, direct construction costs, cost of feasibility studies, investigation, and other things. Generally, 1% of direct construction cost. Preliminary designs and detailed cost, large projects, this much, medium projects, small projects, something like that. Preliminary drawings, design specific. Okay. Supervision cost, generally 1.5% of the DCC. Administrative cost should be less than 1%. Those are given in our guideline. That is okay. This is the one I want to tell you. Physical contingencies and price adjustment provision in total cost estimate. I mean, this is I extract from our guideline manual. You better read that. Physical content 10%. Okay, from the direct construction cost. How direct construction cost more than or equal 500 million, suggested amount of percent of construction cost 15%. Right? Less than 500 million or over 3, that is 12. Price, this is price constant. All right. Yeah. That's why I said this is 10% physical, this is price constant contingency. It is in addition. I'm correct. Please read carefully. This is 10% is physical scope change and all. These all coming under price contingency or price escalation. It's a small thing, less than 2 million, 1.5% of the total cost estimate, direct construction cost. For procurement not exceeding 200 million, the total cost estimate shall be authorized by the head of the department and other TC shall be second to the ministry. Total cost estimate. Okay, that is also a requirement. These all are maybe not very interesting to learn. But is relevant when we talk about the BOQs and all. The objective of BOQ are to provide sufficient information on the quantities of work to you. I mean, these points you can read. So if you look at the BOQ, you see preamble, preliminaries, work items, provisional sums, day work, and summary. Okay, this is, I'm not an engineer, but you better understand by reading this one. This one, finally, this is also a very important area of preliminary work you should do before you invite bids, right? Now we discuss the need assessment, we discuss the preparatory activities in general, and we discuss more on specification and BOQ. Those are part and parcel of the preparatory activities. The pre-qualification is also another important area. Before we invite bids, we have to do pre-qualification, complex and high value. Why? To mitigate the risk. Because if we allow the unqualified, unsuitable, inexperienced contractors or suppliers without checking their qualification and experience, we are in trouble. So therefore, we have a separate chapter and details in the manual, especially how we pre-qualify. I am telling you in general, pre-qualification, we are checking 3 things. One thing, I mean, we apply pre-qualification only for complex works or goods project. Normally, service, we don't have a much big complex thing. As IT, yes. Information system, yes. But we never use the word pre-qualification for consultancy. Yeah? Consultancy, we use a separate word that is called shortlisting. We shortlist limited, we discussed, I think, in our previous module, consultancy unit. And yet, anyway, the pre-qualification is a special process. You'll have to develop a separate document for that. That is called pre-qualification document, right? If you want to study this area, more details are in World Bank website and ADB website, including pre-qualification documents. But I give some explanation regarding pre-qualification. It is internationally accepted practice that the most large-scale contractors or complex good contract, pre-qualification is required. Not all. Contract should be awarded only, that is the thing, only to bidders that are qualified. Actually, we can't say bidders, they will not become bidder to applicants. Applicants that are qualified by virtue of having appropriate capabilities and financial applicants. The word is applicant. They have not become. So what are the things we check? Capabilities and their resources. Capabilities in the sense their past performance and technical capacity. And third one is financial capacity. These principles are embodied in all foreign agency guideline and procurement guideline. Guidelines as well. Okay. So don't forget this area because this is a relevant area. You can understand easily, not like technical jargons we discussed little while ago, like BO, because everybody can't understand everything. Even technical specification, that is none of procurement job. No, those are expert jobs. I'm telling you. So to prepare specification and BOQ and all is not a job of a normal procurement professional. So they should have a expert knowledge in special engineering knowledge, right? So that's why it is not easy to understand everybody. But for your study purpose, I have given some relevant points. So this one, perhaps you pre-qualification under planning module. This is planning module, right? I will touch upon this area again under bidding documents, right? I said there is no module, but the workshop, special workshop we organize as we did previously, under which we can touch upon again the document. Anyway, for the time being, we'll discuss. Where it is necessary to ensure the invitation to bid is confined to only to those who have adequate capabilities and resources, this procedure may be followed. So bid invitation then, bid is confined, only qualified people. Now there is no open competition, right? No open competition. So once we pre-qualify, there is no bid notice. We invite by sending a letter. Pre-qualification based entirely upon the ability to interested firms perform the given task. Factors taken into account. Number one, I said experience and past performance. Capabilities with respect to personnel, different capabilities, personnel, staff, equipment, plant, etc. And third one is, I said, financial position. Pre-qualifying can add considerably to the time required to complete the procurement cycle. I mean, if we have a pre-qualification, that means we need more time, right? Because it takes another couple of months to finish the process. We have to advertise pre-qualification advertisement. we'll have to develop pre-qualifying document and questionnaire, and we have to evaluate using the same technical committee, procurement committee, and finalize the pre-qualified applicants. Then no bid notice, but directly ask the pre-qualified people to submit bids before the closing date, right? But one thing you have to remember, not like shortlisting, there is no limitation. Shortlisting, we have a limitation, maximum number. You can't shortlist more than 8 anyway. Maximum is 8 in our guideline and World Bank, ADP, everywhere. But pre-qualification, there is no limit. Maybe less than 8 sometimes, or more than 8. Okay, that depends on who are qualified. Pre-qualifying can be at conservative to the time. Yeah, this time required is more. But one big advantage is all people are qualified people. So basically their technical capacity, experience, past performance are taken into account. Therefore, we can, our evaluation is quick and accurate, right? Complete the procurement cycle, but time is more. For a specific tender, that is from the advertising of the tender to its award. Regardless of this, for complex tender, it is essential. Tender is our earlier word. If a tender is not that complex, for example, purchase of equipment such as computers or vehicles, then the pre-qualification stage can be skipped. And assessment of the supplier made after the detailed evaluation of the tender is called post-qualification. I said earlier also, one stage is post-qualification. Post-qualification means if we don't follow a pre-qualification process, post-qualification is a must. Because we don't know their actual capability, their financial capacity, that is on records only. We have not scrutinized, so check that, right? Therefore, we have to do a verification part. But if you have done pre-qualification, the post-qualification is also easy. Only the time gap you consider, and I mean, we have pre-qualified earlier. If there is another period, only that period we have to check. Otherwise, no point of checking all things. Summarizing, there is no pre-qualification of bidder, then the PCBC, we'll use the same word because we are using. PCA should determine whether the bidder is no pre-qualification. Whose bid has been evaluated the lowest has the capacity, ability, and resources to carry out the contract concerned effectively. That means post-qualification. That is after all tenders or bids have been evaluated, then an assessment is made on the supply contract. The criteria to be met must be set out in the bidding document. Post-qualification criteria, this is post. And if the bidder does not meet, then the bidder shall be rejected. That is post-qualification criteria. Even though we select him, and after checking his experience, financial things like that, we have to reject him. Post-qualification. All right. And if the bidder does not meet them, the bid shall be rejected. In such an event, BEC, PC shall make a similar decision What is this? Qualification. Wrong. Shall make similar decision regarding the next lowest. If the lowest is not qualified, we have to go for the next lowest. The purpose of pre-qualifying contractors, potential contractors as potential bidders for civil work is to ensure that bids are submitted only by firms that have the necessary experience and financial and technical capacities to undertake the work for which bids are to be invited. Agreement for funding agency, I mean foreign funding agency, like World Bank, foreign funding agencies. Normally require that. That's why I said if you are really interested, we don't have a pre-qualification document yet, local document. If you are interested in this subject, you download a pre-qualification document used by ADPO World Bank for your study purpose. That is very interesting if you really analyze. If you want to develop a pre-qualification document, that will be useful. Normally require that procurement to undertaken in accordance with the procedures as laid down in guidelines and procurement. These typically require bidders to be pre-qualified to be the most civil work contract, turnkey contract, design and build contract, we can say design and build. Normally we say design and build. For the fabrication of expensive and technically complex items like supply and installation and commissioning, those are important. Pre-qualification should establish whether an applicant appears capable of performing the contract satisfactorily and in particular has appropriate experience. Okay, same thing. All pre-qualified firms should be invited to submit. That's what I said. You cannot remove anybody if they are pre-qualified. All people who are pre-qualified should be allowed to participate for bidding. Please note that contract should be awarded only to firms that have appropriately technical capabilities and financial resources that need not be established solely of pre-qualification, which may have undertaken many months before contract. Okay. So again, I have given generally adapted supply contract for large quantity of equipment having high sensitivity, accuracy, right? Large complex civil works, turnkey or design build contract, fabrication of expensive and technically complex items, supply installation, or sometimes commissioning also, large complex, or information systems procurement. Those are procurement, complex especially. Complex information system procurement, complex. Right? The benefits, that is, there are some benefits also. There are some drawbacks also because it takes additional time period. No? But benefits, what are the number one? I mean, please note down this also. What are the intended benefits? Protect the executive agency from receiving bids from unqualified firm. That is the number one. Right? Expedite the task of evaluating bids by limited duration. Now, only pre-qualified firms are there, and your evaluation part is quite speedy or quite quick. Permits a more objective assessment of the qualification of a potential. Permit more objective assessment. Provide an indication of whether there are an inadequate number. So if there are very few firms qualified, you know what will happen, because only few people are qualified. Then you have to think of that, whether we reduce the qualification or experience, something like that, to get more competition, and something like that. Before we call, the number you can predict. Bidder also save money, but on the other hand, bidders also save money not competing for a bid without qualification. So if we don't have the qualification, you will be rejected. Then they also incur a lot of money, no? Submit bids, all things important from the bidder side as well as the agency side. So benefits, potential benefits. Then talk about pre-qualification document. I said you should prepare a separate document including pre-qualification notice. This notice also should be published similar to ICP. If it is a complex one, I mean, we call international law, so we have international websites and all. Give adequate publicity, and in addition, local newspapers also. The scope of work, abbreviated specification, general specification, a clear statement of requirement for pre-qualification, allow a minimum period of 60 days according to guideline for submission of pre-qualification applications. We call applicants, right? We call applications, right? There should be no limit. The number of firms to be pre-qualified, I said no limit. And all firms found capable performing the work satisfactorily in accordance with the provided one should be pre-qualified and invited, as we discussed earlier. So, obtain approval for method to be used inclusive of the criteria. I mean, when you prepare pre-qualification document, you have to identify the criteria, selection criteria, minimum criteria, things like that. How we allocate marks, for technical part, experience part, and financial part prior to invitation of pre-qualification applicant. That has to be approved by the relevant committees. Pre-qualification method to be used inclusive criteria, minimum and maximum scores, and pre-qualification document must be agreed upon between the executive agency and the funding agency in case of if financed by foreign funding agency prior to issuance of the document. Whether the bidders have been pre-qualified, the invitation to be and the tender document should be transmitted directly to the, we know that. I mean, the award of contract should be made to the bidders who bid has been determined to be lowest. Okay, after that, normal financial responsibility, right? Okay, again, what information we should give is given here. I said this one. Information those interested where further information and pre-qualification questionnaire could be obtained. So the pre-qualification document contain a questionnaire also. That's why I said look at the document well backward. Eligibility, project time schedule, everything should be given. Pre-qualification questionnaire. It should be designed to establish for each applicant the experience of the firm or similar works, the firm's financial position, value of work in hand, the firm's capabilities with respect to personal equipment. I mean, these questions are asked in a form of a questionnaire. And some questions, I mean, we use two methods, pass-fail method, pass or fail. That is, some items, some questions, reader should definitely get pass. Otherwise, that is disqualified. Some parts. The other part we can give marks. That is the what we use the merit point system I just mentioned earlier. Merit point system we can use for that, right? That is used for pre-qualification. Criteria for a firm which is pre-qualified should meet all essential requirements. And also, for example, if you give marks for experience, technical and financial, we give the minimum marks also. Supposing a firm has more money and more technical parts, they can get maximum, say, experience 30 and technical 40, 70 marks they can get, but no experience. It is not selected because pre-qualification we say every section you get minimum 50%. Experience, technical and financial, minimum 50%, altogether 70%, no 75%, something like that. Keep in mind. That's how we must select. A firm which is pre-qualified should be meet all essential requirements. All essential requirements. That means all three parts. Appropriate criteria for evaluating above mentioned factors should be determined in advance. Necessary approval should be obtained prior review. A consistent stand, okay. Then, even so, some element of value judgment cannot be avoided. The rigid application of pre-qualification, predetermined formula can result in misleading. Okay. There should not be no fixed limit on number forms. We said the objective is to obtain the widest. Okay, that is also given. So, assessment, once you advertise, you get the application, you have to assess. There are 3 stages. Please note down these 3 stages also. Stage 1, preliminary assessment. Under preliminary assessment, you can use pass-fail criteria. You can use pass or fail criteria. All other things, other stages, we can use detailed assessment. We can use merit point. Merit point. That's how we give marks. Finally, we select a pre-qualified applicant. An application that does not meet the stage 1 is not passes for detail. I mean, if you fail one area of the stage 1, that firm will be disqualified. Criteria may be sought from applicants for verify certain aspects of the applicant during stage 1 and stage 2. The last date of receipt of applicant should be specified to detail of, okay, those are detail. Preliminary examination again. Preliminary screening should be preliminary screening, not examining. Preliminary screening should typically establish whether an applicant meets the following criteria. For example, the applicant eligibility. It's not eligible, fail, finish. Something like that. Has the applicant submitted a responsive application? Okay, something like that. Again, we look at the document. Preliminary screening, yeah. Pass or fail here. Pass or fail, clarify, verify, or remarks. That's how. All the details, I don't want to read out this thing. all details. Huh? You can read later. Joint venture. Stage 2, detail assessment. I said this is using merit point. Hari? If you do financial capacity, technical capacity, and relevant experience, use point system or merit point system. Okay. Okay, this is a scoring system again. You can. Distribution of point. I said maximum number of points, usually 100. Sometimes we can use 1000 also. ADB use 1000. It must be distributed among groups of factors. I mean, we have basically 3 areas. You can have some sub-criterion also. If experience is essential, important, then you can give more marks, right? Criteria defined. Okay, all you can read out. Here, how to calculate the financial capacity, the bid capacity. Bid capacity. Factor into net worth minus 0.2 to 0.4 into remaining work. This is a formula we use to estimate their bid capacity. Net worth means asset minus liabilities, right? Net worth. Using a factor, 3 or something, capacity factor, right? This is the formula, okay, you can think of later. So all technical capacities, site experience. Experience as main contractor, lead partner, so we give marks, right? Don't finally, okay. So this is how we give marks for different aspects. And this is the questionnaire, pre-qualifying questionnaire. The pre-qualifying questionnaire contain the following form. That is, if you look at World Bank and other thing, you can understand different forms, right? Okay. Post-qualification, I'm not going to discuss because it will cover from the evaluation part 2. Objective is to verify the qualification and experience the lowest substance. With the refer bid development process part 2 for more details, right? So with this, I have to stop this presentation. Basically, we cover different aspect of the planning, need assessment, the preparation of preparatory activities, preparation of specification, and BOQ, so estimates relevant, and especially the pre-qualification. Those are important aspects of the planning process before we go to the second stage, right? There are other activities, all those are the critical important areas, right? Okay, with this, I will have to conclude my presentation, but if you have any further question, you can ask. Okay.
So is this the last session for you
No. I have some more.
for the day?
For the
today.
Today is
Yes.
finished. Yeah. Today is my
Okay.
last session. We have another sessions coming. I think one more session in planning and review session also coming. So you can ask questions at the review session, especially aiming your exam, right?
Right. Okay, sir.
Okay. Those are little bit descriptive details, but no matter, you can just carefully, read this and understand what the whole planning process. If you look at, you should identify the key areas of planning and other topics, other sessions also there. At the end, we can see whether we have learned the whole aspect of the procurement planning module module in general. So these are important different aspects of the planning module. Okay, with this I can stop. If you don't have questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It is related to this session. That
Okay.
yesterday also we discussed that there is a scarcity in Sri Lanka regarding the procurement professionals.
Exactly.
Yeah. That as a NPC, do you have any? Because we know there is no any that study program even in universities also.
No, actually, I'm telling you, university, I have already started with the University of Colombo, advanced certificate program, right? Advanced certificate program for especially those who work in procurement divisions, procurement management divisions, right? That will be 12 Saturdays only, 12 Saturdays. At the end, you get a certificate also. That is one thing. And also this master program is one thing. And still I started the procurement diploma. Now I have no time to teach, but some participants, previous diploma holders, they are conducting diploma. That is something anyway. And also NPC will carry out a training of trainer program, TOT program, island-wide. So selecting some potential trainers in ministries and department, and we will start, I think, probably at the end of, I am not participating because I have no time. Our officers, they participate. I mean, that is only a starting program. I know exactly what you say. It is up to this relevant ministries department to organize special capacity development program for procurement. And actually, Open University has taken a very proactive decision to start up this master program. And some other universities, say Moratuwa, they also conduct procurement, but it is more related to engineering professionals or material part, logistic management or something. Not essentially cover all aspect of public procurement. That is a different. I think this is the first program that covers different facets of the public procurement process. But in addition, so special certificate program and can provide knowledge and skills of procurement professionals. I fully agree with you. There is a scarcity of training programs also. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Shall we wind up then?
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night,
night.
sir.
Good
Thank
night.
you very much, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Prabhat.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Kasun. Kasun Dhananjay. Where are you from?
Sir, I am from Irungavala, sir.
No, where are you working? Which
I am
office?
working from National Insurance Trust Fund, sir. NITA.
Right. Okay. Right.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Adil.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Who is that? Kamani.
Nadish.
Nadish. Nadish, where are you working? You work in the government sector or private sector? Okay.
Good night, sir.
Good night, everybody.